race 2B. The track is completely dried up from being quite greasy this morning, which led to quite an eventful first race. But Lloyd, what do you think is going to happen this afternoon?
I'm not really sure, Lindsay. As you say, the track is drying out, the sun is coming out as well, which is going to increase the temperatures. Matt Pollard's on pole position, but behind him are two very close racers in Will Hayden and Jack Moody. It really is anyone's race to take. Jake, the action's all over to you.
Thanks, Lloyd and Lyndsay. This one's going to be a very interesting one. We've had the bottom 5 drivers from the A group now into the front end of the grid for the B. Matthew Pollard and Will Hayden on the front row from Jack Moody and Jason Greatrex. Charles Muggleston and Tom Jenkins on the third row from Jason Taylor and Callum Greatrex. Rounding out the top 10, it's Andrew McGregor and Anthony Hutchins. George Grant and Neil McGregor are on the row 6. Then Rumsey, Fields End, Bartlett and Lyndsay come in the next 2 rows. And then we have Dale Whiteman and Bryn Griffiths from Paul Hughes. And the 3 drivers caught up in the first race shunt, Richard Wootton, Chris Stapleton and Adrian Burge. Looks like it's going to be an interesting one. You mentioned the sun coming out there, Lloyd, but I have to say, it's looking a little bit greasy. And I think the rain is just beginning. There are spots of rain on the windscreens of the drivers down here. They're using their windshield wipers. So it was dry, but it's about to get a lot wetter as the lights go out. This could be a crazy start, and away we go. It's a great start from the second row for Jason Greatrex. I think he's going to outdrag Pollard and Hayden into that first corner. This is going to be an absolutely electric start, so no problems at all there getting away, and he will make his way through. We got a spinner in the mid-pack. I think that is Pollard. Is that Pollard that's gone? I'll double-check it. But Matthew Pollard was at the front of the grid. It's either Pollard or Hayden. I think it might be Hayden, actually. But look, windscreen wipers ablaze, and there's definitely been that off of the first corner. But cars sliding all over the place in the rain. It was dry a moment ago. You're absolutely right, Lloyd. But now the rain has come out. We're on board with Stapleton, who's trying to make progress after his first race shunt. And this is absolutely appalling. We've now got absolutely teeming with rain as they make their way down towards the island bend once again. And he's making up some good places here, Chris Stapleton, so clearly trying to march his way to the front as soon as possible. But down into the braking zone for Ireland, well, he can use the outside line to good effect. He's made his way past 1. He may be able to get past 1 or 2 more on the way round. So several drivers finding grip on that outside line where others are struggling. That's McGregor going around the outside of the 16 of Neil McGregor. Goodness me, Neil has been making up some good progress in this one then. And Richard Wootton is coming up through the field quite quickly now as well. But yep, look at that, absolutely appalling rain. It is Matthew Pollard in second, so it was Will Hayden who spun on that first corner. A very scary moment. Oh, and overshooting on the chicane. That is the 544 of Jack Moody. He was battling there with Jason Taylor. He actually clips the barriers on the way through the chicane there at Hislops. You're not supposed to do that, but obviously he's trying to keep himself in as high a position as possible to get through as they go up through Knickerbrook, through the right-hander, and up Clay Hill. This could get very entertaining very quickly, and for some of the drivers, I think it's going to be for all the wrong reasons as they're trying desperately to hang on to their cars in what has suddenly become very torrential conditions, actually. It's getting wetter all the time, and actually this is proving to be quite a problem for the drivers. They go under the Warwick Bridge, and this is for the lead. We're about to get a lead change as Jason Greatrex, oh no, sorry, that's Callum Greatrex. My apologies, the 34. So this is a bit further back. And a big slide out of the final turn for Jason Taylor. Goodness me, he saves that one. But look at the rain. It's absolutely appalling. And it's getting wetter all the time. Now, I think these guys actually went out on slick tyres. So it's absolutely pouring down with rain. And it really has become quite torrential, the conditions. Now, they're going to have to stay on those tyres till the bitter end. And the cars are sliding around all over the place because obviously there's very little grip to be had, but they went out onto the circuit with slick tyres. Just double checking. Did some of them know that the rain was coming and make those changes right at the end? Well, Callum Greatrex coming through Cascades. This is a race of tippy-toe at the moment, but Callum Greatrex is up into third position, making great progress in there behind Matthew Pollard, who's in second position. So an amazing start to this race. Jack Moody is there in fifth position, so because he went through the chicane, but he hasn't gained any positions, he will not get penalised for that, I don't think. At least I don't think he made up any positions. I think he made the overtaking moves after that corner. So it's the 96 that's in there. That's Charles Muggleston, who was battling for third position a moment ago with Callum Greatrex. He's now slotted into fourth for the moment. So as it stands, it's Jason Greatrex leading, then it is Matthew Pollard, then it is Callum Greatrex in 3rd position, and then chasing them down is Charles Muggleston in 4th and Jack Moody in 5th. So a very interesting and exciting start to this race, but the 55 of Matthew Pollard still there in 2nd place in what is looking like it could end up being a Greatrex 1-2 if Callum can keep this sort of pace up. And to be fair, the brothers from Cardiff very much doing a good job here in the wet. Mind you, when you grow up in Wales, you can probably deal with rain quite easily. So the drivers there definitely running a very good race. But this is easily the wettest Mazda race of the weekend so far, as Matthew Pollard hangs on in there to 2nd place, and Callum Greatrex in the 34 in 3rd. But the rain really has come down in buckets full. And of course, let's not forget, the Mazda MX-5 have roll cages, but what they don't have is roofs. So the drivers are getting very wet in the cars as they go around the circuit too in these absolutely horrendous conditions. That's just suddenly changed in the course of the last 120 seconds or so as Moody gets crowded out there by Muggleston. He's lucky that there's good grip on the outside because there's not a lot of rubber laid down, because he's able to get that car back under control again and actually going for the move for 4th position. So he's used that outside line to gain better traction off the turn and is now there on the inside of Charles Muggleston. But Muggleston chops across in the braking zone, holds on to 4th place. So still very good racing indeed from these two novice plates. A really good run here from Charles Muggleston, hanging on in front of the man in 5th position now, Jack Moody. But chasing them down is Jason Taylor, who had a near miss with the top 5 in race 1 and this time wants to put the debate to bed and get himself back into that top 5 slot again. Big twitch from Moody as they come off the turn. So back down the straight up towards Island Bend. This is a very good run though from Callum Greatrex, who has got into 2nd place. So it is looking likely to be a Greatrex 1-2 with Jason out front, Callum in 2nd. It is all going well for the Greatrex boys. Into the Shell Oils hairpin they go at the far side of the circuit. Jack Moody still hanging on in front of Jason Taylor in their battle for 5th position. Matthew Pollard ahead of these 3. Charles Muggleston 4th. There, of course, as we mentioned, is Jack Moody, and then that is Jason Taylor, who was very lucky, I think, to escape that moment with Wootton and Stapleton. Unfortunately, both of them and Adrian Burge got away fairly battle-scarred, and 2 of those cars obviously out on the spot. Burge was able to bring it a little bit further round, but not by much, and Callum Greatrex is overshot at the Hislop chicane. Now, he's got to drop, I think, behind the 55 of Matthew Pollard. He's going to try and get back on in front of him, but surely Pollard's going to get through. No, he doesn't. Now, the question is, has he gained any time? Well, no, he hasn't. So he has lost time by doing that. So the argument is going to be, did I gain a position? No. Did I lose a position? No. But did I lose time? The answer surely is going to be yes. So I think he's going to be all right with that one. As the gap between him and the 55 of Matthew Pollard has definitely decreased. And basically, when you cut through the chicane like that in British racing, the emphasis and the ethos is if you've gained time from doing it, then you'll get a penalty. But quite clearly, as you can see, Callum Greatrex has not gained any time, because Matthew Pollard is now right underneath him, challenging him back for 2nd place. So I'm fairly sure that one's going to be let slide. So up over the Deerleap once again, and onto the main straight. The mechanics getting absolutely drenched on the pit wall there, trying to keep their drivers well informed as they come down the main straight. Jason Taylor there in 6th position, still trying to get in touch with that top 5. Then it is the 17 of Andrew McGregor. Jenkins is next, and then it's Wootton and Stapleton. So the 2 of them have worked through the field together to try and make up as much progress as possible. Then we watch through the field. Don't tell me that's the 65 of Will Hayden making a recovery drive. It is. So he spun off initially, but look at him. He's just gone round the outside of those 2 battling away. That's Graham Rumsey, who's battling with Bryn Griffiths, but round the outside of both of them has come Will Hayden. That's what comes of driving angry. Will Hayden obviously furious with himself, or whatever the incident might have been, for spinning him around, and now he's trying to get one on the inside of Adrian Burge. Well, Will Hayden, the resurgence is on. He is back, and this is an absolutely terrific charge forward. Can he keep this up? Well, at the moment at the front of this queue we've got Hutchins, then Burge, and then it is Will Hayden, who started this race from the front row. Don't forget, he was in the A group and is trying to fight his way back there. He's got a lot of work to do and he's quickly running out of time to do it. Oh, and he's run wide! Oh, goodness me. So many drivers save that, and in the process of saving it, end up getting themselves in more trouble. And Bryn Griffiths very nearly gets through, but well held by Will Hayden. I've seen so many drivers, they get loose there, particularly in wet conditions. They get loose on the outside, and they're just on a one-way mission to the gravel trap, but not Will Hayden. He held onto that one beautifully. On board with Stapleton. Into the Hislop S's once again. And this is how difficult it is for a driver to hang on in these conditions. Just watch Stapleton's handiwork. Let's listen to the engine as he goes through. Up Clay Hill. Let's ride on board. Up through the gears. Up Clay Hill. Really impressive part of the circuit, this. But you have to hang into the trees. That's where a lot of the moisture gets held as well. So that part of the circuit is always very damp. Into Druids. Plant the throttle. Don't push it too hard. Nicely done. That's Chris Stapleton handling it with ease through Druids. Under Warwick Bridge. And then down towards Lodge Corner. It's not officially the final turn on the lap, but to most of the drivers it is the final corner, because you can just hang on the throttle and blast up Deer Leap. Here we go. So this is the final turn, Deer Leap. Stapleton having to work so hard on the steering of this car because it's so loose in these conditions. And over the start-finish line, are we going to get a complete lap on board with Stapleton? It's a great view, this, a brilliant driving stance. See just how much work goes into Old Hall. We're dropping a little bit further back behind Stapleton now. There is Hayden. Look at him, he's absolutely marched away from Burge. And he's left Hutchins and Griffiths having their own private battle. And here comes Griffiths diving up the inside very late on Anthony Hutchins, but I think he's going to have the space and the pace to get through. Hutchins will want a good exit out of Old Hall, but Bryn Griffiths has done the business there. Very nice overtake, and that moves him up another position. So good racing at the front end, good racing in the midfield, and towards the tail end there's great racing as well. Good move there from Griffiths, and as he goes through Cascades he can now get his confidence back up to scratch once again, and hopefully start charging through another couple of other drivers in the mix. So in there as well, that is the 45 of Graham Rumsey, who is still very much in touch. I think the car behind him is George Grant, who is regularly seen in the Clapham North car in the Super Series and Super Cup. But he loves his Mazda MX-5 racing, he loves a buzz out of it, and has decided to come here to Oulton Park a week before the championship in the Super Cup travels to Rockingham, which of course is going to be a non-TCR UK supporting round. It's the only non-TCR UK supporting round of the sister championship to this, if you like, the Super Cup, which is for the Mazda MX-5 Mark 3s. This is for the older but still just as cool Mark 1s. And Anthony Hutchins running a good race here as he battles to try and keep up with Bryn Griffiths while also trying to shake off Graham Rumsey. And as they come up over the hilltop once again, this man is hanging on to second position by a thread, because Jack Moody has got into third position now. So Jack Moody has got past Pollard, and I think the fifth man in the mix there is still Charles Muggleston. So it is still Greatrex 1 and 2. Jason is a long way out in front. Here is the 34 of Callum, still running in second place. It's going to be a very nice fairy tale family moment if he can stay in position. The 544 of Jack Moody has other ideas, and he's trying to move his way forward. Can he get one over on Callum Greatrex as they come over the line once again? Running out of laps and running out of time. Look at how bad the weather is now. The rain absolutely heaving down around the circuit, and Jack Moody trying to go the long way round. Fair play to the drivers who've been able to keep their cars on the straight and narrow in absolutely apocalyptic conditions. Look at the spray. You can't see a dicky bird down through the avenue. Absolutely amazing, and surely this race is going to get too wet to continue if we get any more rain down on the circuit. Oh, this is getting biblically bad now. Look at it, you can't see a thing, and surely the officials have got to consider safety car at the very least. We may possibly even get a red flag if the weather gets worse than this, because there's a certain point when, you know, racing in the wet is one thing, but racing in a monsoon, well, that's just borderline crazy. And up the inside, is this going to be a move for position? Muggleston trying to make the move on Pollard, and he gets there, so that's put him up into fourth position. And that's the difficult thing. Look, at that point of the circuit we were just watching, Cascades down Lakeside through to Island, it's absolutely torrential and you can't see a thing, whereas at this point of the circuit, visibility is still reasonably good. As they go through Britons, they'll go up and over the crest, and I think again the water's not really hanging at this point of the circuit at Hilltop. There is still some spray, but there is a little bit of a breeze to push it away. This is Stapleton again, as we ride on board through the S's. I always have that horrible picture in the back of my mind in the torrential rain at Oulton Park, that British GT race about 15 years ago that became an incredibly expensive car park at this very chicane, Knickerbrook. It's gone viral on YouTube several times over, and it's a horrific sequence of events, and I'm rather hoping that, you know, the weather doesn't get so bad that it ends up a similar scene. I have to say, full play and full credit to the drivers for staying on the racetrack, as it's so difficult in these conditions on what is effectively the Nürburgring of the North, as it was always known, of course. And look at the weather, look at the rain that's coming off the circuit. It's so much standing water on the surface of the road, and that is causing so many difficulties for visibility. The windscreen wipers are going full 10 to the dozen, but it's barely doing anything in terms of pace, as Pollard is going to knit it up the inside of Muggleston. Muggleston just lets him go. Do you know what? You're there on the inside. I can barely see you. I'd just rather get a decent position. We're still going to finish in the top 5 if we stay as we are. They may even decide to throw the race early. Oh, look at this. Absolutely atrocious. I've not seen rain this bad at Oulton Park for a long, long time. And in a straight line, Pollard is struggling. Moody's nearly going off. They are definitely getting towards the point. Yeah, there we go. Red flag. Sensible call. Well, any longer and those cars wouldn't have been cars anymore. They'd have been submarines, because there's enough standing water on the circuit. Oh, this is absolutely appalling. Yep, well done to the officials. That was the right call. Red flag. It had to be, as Chag Moody pulls off the circuit. I wonder if he's even seen the red flags. At this point, he's just probably throwing anchor and casting off aside. So it's a Grey Tracks 1-2 in the most appalling conditions imaginable at Oulton Park. Jason takes the win from Callum, but unfortunately a penalty later on given to Jason Greatrex demotes him to 4th. But it's Greatrex, Moody and Muggleston in the top 3. A fantastic race, and I have to say, given the circumstances, Will Hayden, what a drive to fight himself back into 13th place. But in those conditions, amazing that we only had one retirement, and that is John Fieldsend. But well done to the officials for calling it red before things got silly.
This has got to be a huge congratulations for you. This is your first ever win. How did you manage it?
I don't even know myself, to be honest. It was so difficult, and when it started raining, it's just, God knows, it was so slippery out there. I just couldn't see a thing.
So are you better in the wet, would you say, now than the dry?
Well, it was my first time out in the wet, so I think so, yeah.
So are you prepared for going up into the A race this afternoon then?
Yeah, hopefully make up a few places and just get a good result out of it.
Oh, well, a huge congratulations from us. Go and enjoy the win.
Thanks very much.
Jack, that little bit of water certainly made things a bit interesting.
Yeah, I don't mind the wet, but I like to be a bit more prepared than on a dry setup.
Yeah, I think it caught everyone a little bit unawares, but you managed to come through and got second place.
Yeah. I don't think it couldn't have carried on for much longer. It was getting a bit dangerous, so yeah, but it was good fun.
And what do you think you can do going into the next race?
Well, it's not. I think it's going to be dry again, so just hang on to the back of the grid and try not to let them get away, really.
Look forward to seeing you out there. Congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers.
Charlie, that was a fantastic result for you.
Oh, absolutely amazing. I've got to say a huge thank you to Mum and Dad, obviously, and then How To Consultancy for helping this be possible.
So talk us through the race.
Oh, talk you through what I can remember. Wet, and a bit more wet. I think most of it was driven looking out the side window, trying to guess where curbs are, guess where trees are, other cars, but amazing fun. I think everyone got out of the car with a smile on their face and covered in water. So.
Brilliant. Well, we'll let you go and enjoy this win. A huge congratulations again.
Cheers. Thank you very much.